Welcome back, everybody, to the Retro Blood. As we start off a brand new month here in the month of February, a month of love, a month of giving your significant other some roses, some chocolate, and some blood.
Oh, yeah.
Because the Retro Blood is talking all about 1980s Vampire Month Part 2. J.H. Alison, James Kline. We are starting off this month hot. Retro Blood. Got a new theme song. We're on video for the first time. Hopefully this all works out. And we're talking about some strip clubs. We're talking about some frat houses. We're talking about some town infested with vampires and Vegas talk, because we're starting this month off hot, talking Vamp.
Yeah.
What's happening, Alison?
What's up, man? Yeah, I bet this movie's right up your fucking alley, wasn't it?
Actually, it was.
I knew it would be.
And there's a couple of, reasons why. You know what I mean? Like I think some of the biggest ones I liked out of this movie was the actual look of it. Because it was doing it had that purple and was it purple and pink lighting throughout the whole movie? It really reminded me of they're trying to rip off stuff from Italian films, which I appreciated.
Okay, all right.
You know what I mean? And we got some good old titties and stuff in there.
Sure. Yeah, I've noticed that a lot of maybe not a lot, but I would say a lot of vampire movies for some reason, especially in the 80s, revolve around strip clubs.
Yeah, man. I mean, why not?
Well,
you know what I mean?
Good point.
You get on there, you try to find yourself a nice little hottie for the night, for the point.
Yeah.
So,
because that's what everybody gets out of a strip club, is to find yourself a hottie, right? I guess. I mean, you don't get to go home with her, but you
bring her back to the front house.
Yeah, because that happens a lot.
So yeah, I mean, but the actual so this one was actually a comedy style film. Okay.
Yeah, it was.
Which it was I wouldn't say the comedy was super funny, but I still enjoyed it. I don't think the actual comedy kind of took away from the actual film.
I just didn't find it. I didn't hate this. It was just a big it was whatever. But I mean, I just thought it was. I didn't think it was funny. I don't know. It was all right.
You didn't like Candy, where she melts in your mouth and your hand?
Well, no, that was pretty funny. I like that.
I
did like that. Melts in your mouth and in your hands.
Yeah, there you go.
It's so good. It's fantastic.
But yeah, everybody, thanks for joining us here on the Retro Blood. Like I said, This is our Vampire Part 2 month. We did this last year too. And this year we have some pretty fun ones for this year. I'm pretty excited about a lot of the movies we're doing this year. And they're kind of a mixture of comedy, animation, and serious at the same time. So we'll give you the full list at the end of the show. But everybody, like every Retro Blood, even this special video one where you can see our lovely faces on here.
Yeah, because that's what everybody's been asking for. Still see our faces.
Exactly. You know what I mean? We got to do video here and there. You know what I mean? The Retro Blood Studios doing it how we do.
Yeah, we do.
But like every Retro Blood, we go over what was happening in the world of the pro wrestling and the metal music around the release date, which this one is going to be July 18th, 1986. So we're back in 1986. We're rocking out. Me and Alison were going to strip club from strip club, trying to find us some vampire strippers to rock our frat house. Did you ever join a frat house there, Alison? You look like a frat kind of guy.
And I do not look like a frat kind of guy. Fuck you. No, I have never joined a fraternity of any kind, and I don't really have to buy my friends. People actually like me.
Yeah, there you go.
So I don't have to pay people to be friends with me.
Well, a frat house is different, brother. You got to go through these pledges, all right? And you got to buy your way in.
Yeah, and then you have to pay them to be your friends after they. So no, I never did that.
Speaking of buying your way in and paying for friends, let's talk about the pro wrestling.
Let's do it.
Because I'm pretty sure a lot of people buy their tickets and try to get in with the wrestlers as much as they could. And 1986 is no different. So, before I get into that, though, because, This is our show, and I like to talk about whatever.
Yeah.
Did you watch the Royal Rumble yesterday?
Of course I did.
How'd you like it?
I thought it was great. I thought Kevin and Cody was fantastic. That fucking Alabama slam that Kevin took on that goddamn ladder. Like, there is no way that he is up walking around today. Like, he is like sitting on his couch with ice on his back. Like, that was sick.
Yeah. I know. Like the little. Yeah. It looks like he twisted his whole neck and everything in his body. It's pretty wild.
I know the guy weighs a lot, but I mean, he folded that ladder in half.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a steel ladder. Like, my God, like that, there's no way that didn't hurt. But yeah, spoilers if you guys haven't watched it, Jey Uso won. What do you think about that? Like, I was surprised.
Oh yeah, I was surprised too. It was pretty shocking.
Yeah.
I would say, because, of all the big names that are in there, you had like the Roman Reigns, you had the CM Punk,
mm-hmm.
Drew McIntyre and stuff like that. John Cena was in there. It was a surprise, but I was like thinking about it. I was like, I kind of get it because, the guy is really hot right now. I mean, it's a really over baby face.
Yeah.
And I think they're just trying to make him one of the next, big superstars, and how do you do that? You let him win a Royal Rumble and have him challenge for the belt.
So your speculation on the future. So after the show, John Cena said he was going to enter the Elimination Chamber.
Yeah.
Which obviously he'll win that. Of course, I thought he was going to win the Rumble too, so who knows? So they're pushing to. There's too much of a narrative here for him to win his 17th title at WrestleMania 41 or 40, whatever this year is. The WrestleMania this year.
41. I believe.
41. Yeah. So how is that going to play out? Is he going to win the Elimination Chamber and go after Cody and win Cody's title? Or is there going to be some three-way between him and Jey and Gunther, and then he'll beat those two guys and the winner of the Royal Rumble won't win the title? What do you think is going to happen?
Well, I would say the Jey Uso is probably going to be picking the Gunther.
Yeah.
Because he's lost to him already like 3 times. And so that will kind of like, I'm pretty sure that would leave Cody's spots open. And then whoever wins the chamber will face Cody at WrestleMania. Even though, like, I see the plan being John Cena and Cody. But I don't know. For some reason, I don't know if I like that match too much.
No.
But it looks like that's where they're going. And it looks like they're trying to do a triple threat between Punk, Reigns, and CM Punk. Punk, Reigns, and CM Punk.
No. Punk, you said
no,
Punk,
Reigns, Seth, and CM Punk. Yeah. Whatever. Sorry, bro. I got too much. I got too much stripper vampires on my brain.
I see that. You're already jumping ahead with your nectar there and your strippers on your mind. But I mean, I see that. So are they going to go completely away from Bloodline stuff though? Like, what are we going to do with that? I mean, we're not going to have Roman Reigns back doing Bloodline shit this year.
Maybe probably will. Like, obviously they were doing a little tease with him and Jacob Fatu probably down the line. But I think the big match right now is going to be that triple threat between the 3 of them. For WrestleMania season, you got like a bunch of big names on there. It's a marquee style match, so it kind of makes some sense to me. So true. That's what it's looking for right now. But anything could change, man. But that's why I see it so far.
Anything can. Yeah, I think you're not far from wrong. I mean, that makes perfect sense. I just didn't see Cody dropping his title to Cena, but you're right. That's
I don't think he's gonna beat. I think he's gonna beat Cena. I don't think Cena. Yeah, I don't think Cena is actually gonna win the belt until maybe SummerSlam or maybe towards the end of his reign. But yeah, I don't see.
Well, they have to have him give him enough time to drop it again.
He will. So if he wins it at SummerSlam or something like that, he could still drop it. Like maybe his very last match, he could drop the belt to somebody. Or he can never win the belt. I don't know. I guess we'll see.
Yeah, true.
If we can see him.
If we can see, we will see.
Speaking about belts and belt changes and matches and stuff, let's talk about 1986 WCW NWA Wrestling. Jim Crockett Promotions, brother.
All right. This is going to be good because 86 was a good year for Crockett.
It was. So when this movie dropped Vamp, dropped in theaters, all right, we'll be waiting in line and stuff, waiting to see some stripper vampires.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
We would actually be near Richmond, Virginia.
Nice.
Because
Richmond's
this would be night 8 of the Great American Bash Tour.
Wow. Okay.
Now, for all you out there who maybe watched like WCW in the 90s, maybe they watch NXT nowadays when they hear the Great American Bash. It was usually, during that particular time frame, it's only like a one-night event.
Right.
But the original Great American Bash in the 80s, which actually was it a month-long tour? It was like a month-long or a couple weeks tour.
It lasted at least a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
But yeah, sorry, go ahead.
So it was like a tour compared to just like a one-night show on there. So that's what the cool thing about this one is. We're on night 8, and we got some banger of a couple matches over here. You know what I mean?
Okay.
We got some pretty good ones. And if I read these names, Alison, let me know which one of these would show up at the Vampire strip club, because I'm pretty sure half of them probably did. Okay,
probably
these wrestlers. So there's a whole long. I'm not gonna say every match because I'm not gonna do that because I didn't get to watch the show. But This was a pretty cool show. So one of the first matches, and I think this match is pretty interesting. I would love to see this because we actually saw these guys on AWTV just a couple of weeks ago.
Right.
We have the Rock and Roll Express, Ricky Morton and Robert Gibson, card-carrying members to the Vampire Strip Club.
Yep.
They would not go on to defeat Arn Anderson and Ole Anderson. So a pretty good old tag team match. We got the kind of like the Flyers versus more of the ground, beat them up brawler type of guys.
That would be fantastic.
Yeah. So really good match. You'll like this one, Alison. We have a Tully Blanchard versus Ron Garvin. Ron Garvin has returned to the Retro Blood.
Nice.
All right.
Hands of Stone.
And they're in can you explain this one to me? He's in a taped fist match. Yeah,
I can explain that. So a taped fist match is obviously a match where fists are taped, but it's like so some, how do I explain this? Early combat sports had taped fists instead of boxing gloves. So it's not bare knuckle, but it's also not gloved. So they would have their fist taped. At least that's my understanding of what this is. But he would have his fist taped to kind of be between having a boxing glove and having bare knuckles.
I got you. So it's a tough man match.
Essentially, yeah, it's a tough man match. Yeah, it's essentially a tough man match.
So out of the tough guys, who do you think won?
Tully Blanchard.
Oh.
Was I wrong?
You're right.
Oh, I figured.
Look at this guy. You think Tully Blanchard is tougher than good old Ron Garvin?
No, I don't.
Hands of Stone, brother?
I don't, but I think that Tully found a way to win because he's a dirty player.
You'll like this one. That's this next match. We have Jimmy Valiant, the Boogie Woogie Man.
Yep.
All right. Versus Baron Von Raschke. And I shit you not, a 1986 pole match.
What was on the pole?
I don't know. It doesn't say. It just says a pole match. Maybe it was just a pole. Like maybe the winner grabs a pole. You know, it's kind of like this movie where, we had a bunch of poles show up while we're stabbing vampires. Maybe that was the pole that they were looking for.
I guess so. But yeah.
Which one of these do you think was going on with Candy?
Which one of those two? Oh,
yeah, Jamie Valiant.
Von Raschke, of course.
Ron Raschke. He's a big Candy lover.
I think so. Gotcha.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. It doesn't really say the pole, but I guess it's like because I don't think it was like a Rusev style pole match.
Right.
I think it was just an actual pole. You just get.
It was just a pole. We just got the pole, and then whoever gets the pole wins. I guess.
So we got another tag team match on here. That's pretty good. We got the Road Warriors, Hawk and Animal, brother.
I'm already bought in.
Versus the Russians.
Oh my god! I bet that was amazing.
That is not only a pose match because they're all jacked as shit.
Yeah,
but it's also a hard hitting match because they're all big tough dudes.
Yeah, I bet they beat the shit out of each other.
So the Road Warriors won that match.
That would have been cool if it was a Russian chain match too. But
I know we need more we need more Russian chain matches.
Yeah, we need more Russians in wrestling. We need to bring back the.
Is there like even in because I know so like Kaiser, he's German. We have No, Kaiser.
Oh, German. Kaiser's German.
Gunther's
Austrian, yeah.
The only Russian we had was like Rusev, but he was like a fake Russian.
Yeah, and he's actually from
Bulgaria or something.
Bulgaria, yeah. He is a fake Russian. You know what the WWE ought to do?
Yeah.
Although it would fit better in AEW these days. They should have a gimmick, like a stable of like 1980s Russians that come out with like the hammer and sickle and the Soviet Union stuff. And they could say they came out of a time machine and they've
Yeah.
been like frozen in time since 1985. And
Yeah.
they come out and do like 1985 gimmicks. And if AEW did it, they could like feud with the Outrunners.
Yeah. There you go.
And FDR. That would do that. That's gold right there.
As long as we get a bald one who can do the
Tony.
Russian sickle.
Right, exactly. Well, they have to be bald.
Yeah.
But yeah, Tony Khan needs to book that.
Yeah. Well, I think that will only entertain us. Yes. So we have the next match we have is Baby Doll, Dusty Rhodes, and Magnum TA.
Okay.
Versus Jim Cornette.
How did I know that was coming?
Yeah. Definitely. So good old match. I mean, obviously this one had a lot of build to it. You know what I mean? Because they were and like, we talked about this and past episodes of the Retro Blood.
Yeah.
Of the history between Dusty Rhodes and Magnum TA. They were basically like the kind of like the American team at the time until Magnum had his accident. And then when Magnum had his accident, that's when he would actually bring in Nikita Koloff to be his tag team partner from there. Yes. So, and they would be the United Powers. There you go.
Yep.
So very interesting. And then, of course, in the main event, very championship style main event. I would say this one is, especially for Crockett around this time. Like, this is probably be definitely one of the biggest matches of this Great American Bash tour. It's Ric Flair, the NWA champion, versus Wahoo McDaniel in a steel cage match.
Oh, there we go. Yeah, that would have been great too. That would have been. I'm assuming Ric Flair won that.
Yes.
Okay.
He defeated him. And they had a very big feud at the time because I think it was a mentor versus a mentee style match.
Right.
And it was also the young. It's crazy for me to say it now, but it's also like the young guard Ric Flair, freshly new champion, versus the old guard of Wahoo McDaniel at this time as well too.
Yeah, because it was near the end of Wahoo's career probably,
yes.
So he was putting over the new guard, Ric Flair, the new young champion.
Exactly. I can see Ric Flair, showing up in this movie, being like, "I thought this was Vegas." Show up to the wrong place.
Was Vegas. Yeah.
So we had a pretty cool wrestling card. I mean, anytime you see one of those great, especially in the 80s, all right, everybody out there who's not too familiar with the 1980s style wrestling, the Great American Bash tour for Crockett was really big. I mean, they had a couple of good like gimmick tours that they do. They even had the Crockett Cup, which was huge, which is the whole tag team. And they would also do the Great American Bash tours too. And I remember one of the most famous Great American Bash tours they did was actually, it was Ricky Morton and Ric Flair inside that steel cage that they had too. It was also one of the famous Great American Bash tours. But what do you think, Alison, before we go on to the metal music, what do you think about bringing something like that back, like AEW or WWE or TNA or wherever else brings back a whole like tour of, it was all like gimmicked, like, how we had the Great American Bash tour where it's like 4 or 5 months. AEW kind of does that where they name out 2 shows, but they don't do like a whole couple weeks. Do you think that could work?
The problem with that now, because the business is completely different. Yeah. So the problem with that now is that back then you had the Great American Bash tour because TV was only intended to get people to buy tickets, and all your money was in tickets. Where now the tickets just supplement the income of the shows and your money is in TV. So you could do that, but you'd have to televise every show. You know what I mean? Which is no different than what they do now. Like they would be doing, because I mean, Raw essentially is the Great American Bash tour on tour all the time. You know what I mean? Except the Great American Bash tour would have every show would have been like a pay-per-view. So it'd be like doing a weekly pay-per-view, which is kind of close to what AEW does, like with their Maximum Carnage and all their themed shows, I guess. But I don't think it would work in the way the business works now, because they don't really care if people go to the shows or not. I mean, they care, but that's not where their money is. So it wouldn't work in the same way.
I would say the business nowadays is probably more television oriented, where
For sure.
back in the 80s and a little bit of the 90s, it was a lot more live attended business because they didn't get a lot of
Absolutely.
TV rights.
Right. And there was no money in TV back then, or not as much money as there is now. And that's actually only changed in the last like 20 years or so because there was, I remember 10 years or so ago, there was a big, not a scandal, but like a big thing about the Atlanta Braves not making enough money to support the team. And it was because they'd sold their TV rights off back when TV rights weren't worth as much. And that was back in the 2000s even. But like now TV rights are worth way more. Streaming rights are worth way more. So it's all about the TV stuff now. But that is kind of how New Japan's model works. Like they do tours where they, they're not house shows. They're shows that they record that have main events. But they'll lead up to a big main show at the end of the month. Like right now they're doing the New Beginning tour, which will lead up to New Beginning in Osaka in like a week or so. So that's sort of how New Japan does their business, but it would be hard. It would be hard to pull that off. It would basically be like what AEW does with their, what do they call the winter show?
Winter is coming.
Winter's coming, or the one where they do the Dynamite and Collision from New York. Those shows. Yeah. So it's kind of like that, but it would be hard to pull off like a 2-week tour like that, I think.
Anyway. Yeah, I could agree with you. So. But Alison, what do we got going on? What are we listening to on our way to this after dark vampire chick strip club, which has only old, decrepit dudes in there, throwing their money and watching a girl named Candy, and Whipped.
Exactly. Yeah, we're far from decrepit, so we need to hang out at a cooler strip club than this.
What do you think? Really quick, what do you think was a cooler hangout spot? This one or that Peep Show from American Werewolf in London?
Oh, Peep Show. Absolutely.
Oh man, but there was just a movie. You know what I mean? This one got live vampires in there, brother.
There were movies in there, but I think they had live. Well, okay, there's no vampires in the Peep Show, but they did have live girls though. It says so on the sign.
That's true.
We'll go back and watch it.
Speaking of, I have a connection for this movie.
Oh, sweet.
I have a connection for this movie.
Okay.
And a movie that we did last month too, but I'll talk about that during the review portion. I think you get a kick out of it.
I love how you spring the stuff on me.
You know what I mean? It's a little hidden. It's something to keep everybody engaged.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I know. I'm engaged, for God's sake.
All right. Well, what do we got for the metal music? What's going on?
So for metal music, I'm taking you back home. So we're going back to Dallas, Texas, July 19th, 1986. So this was the day of the Texas Jam, which is the informal name of the Texas World Music Festival. They ran them all the way up from 1978 to 1988. So 1986 was like right near the end. But on this one, I thought was kind of significant because it was kind of a cool lineup. So this night we had, I won't name every band that played because we had like bands like Bachman Turner Overdrive opening, which was, kind of near the end of their career. But we had Crocus, Loverboy, Dio, and Van Halen.
Crocus was on there?
Yeah, Crocus was on there playing underneath Loverboy, which is kind of weird. So I thought Loverboy was significant because they were huge around this time with their Working for the Weekend or whatever that song's called.
Yeah.
But when I saw Sammy Hagar doing his Van Halen tribute this past summer, Loverboy was also the opener for that. So that's kind of a weird, cycle back around kind of thing. But I thought it was cool. Like we could see Crocus and Loverboy in the middle of the day, and then we could see Dio, and then we could see Sammy Hagar era Van Halen closing out the night in the Cotton Bowl in front of 70,000 people or whatever.
Wow, that's crazy.
That would be fantastic because that was the first tour. That was the 5150 tour. So that was the first tour that Sammy Hagar was in Van Halen, which was a completely different kind of band because obviously their sound changed, but Sammy Hagar was a guitar player. So then all of a sudden Van Halen had two guitar players and they would go back and forth playing solos and with Eddie. And
that was the first tour that they did that on?
Yes.
Okay, interesting.
So that was and there's actually some really good video on YouTube, which we might try to link to, of shows from that tour, not this one, but there's a show from Japan where they open with There's Only One Way to Rock, which is a Sammy Hagar solo song. And then Sammy and Eddie are doing like dueling guitar solos at the end of it. It's fantastic. Yeah. But this was kind of like when I started getting into Van Halen, really like the first Van Halen. I mean, I'd heard some David Lee Roth Van Halen, but like when 5150 came out, like I love that album. And I still prefer Sammy Hagar Van Halen to David Lee Roth Van Halen, which is a crime to some Van Halen fans, but I prefer the Sammy Hagar Van Halen myself. But this would have been a fantastic show. Have you ever been to the Cotton Bowl? Or I mean, it's still there, but are you familiar with it at all?
Yeah, I'm familiar with it. When I lived down there, I never went to the Cotton Bowl because there was like
there was nothing to do there,
shows or nothing usually to do. I think after American Airlines got put up, you know what I mean? I guess they mostly go there. I don't know. I just never been to the Cotton Bowl. I know about it. They mostly play like sports games over there, don't they?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, because it's in the it's where they have the State Fair of Texas.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So they have that in the same place where the Cotton Bowl is. But basically, I mean, the Dallas Cowboys played there until like 1971 or something, and after that, it just became, a place that they had a single college football game every year.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's a big deal with like, in college football, the playoffs every year. It's a big deal to have that bowl game there. But yeah, it's just an old classic stadium. It was built in 1930, so it'd be a cool.
I don't think they do concerts there anymore, right?
Probably not many. I would imagine. I didn't look that up, but I would imagine they probably don't do a lot of concerts there.
All the ones I've seen, they usually go to, like, if they're a big band, they'll probably like most likely go to like American Airlines.
Yeah,
and play in there.
Yeah, or go to the place where the Cowboys play now.
Yeah, AT&T Center. Yes.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
pretty cool though. You know what I mean? But hey, pretty fun out lineup. Get all rocked out there. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Do you think our boy AJ was maybe he should have looked there for the stripper?
Maybe he would probably have had better luck than he ended up with in this movie.
You know what I mean? Because I mean, he's just pick out one of those wild ones from the crowd. You know what I mean?
That would be great.
He might have had better luck. I guess we'll see.
We'll see.
So, but let's get into it, everybody. Let's get into who booked this shit.
Forgot we haven't done who booked this shit.
Yeah, man. We got to figure out who made this, man, before we get into the review, man.
We do.
You know what I mean? We got to figure out who is making the good old Vamp style movie. So this one was directed by Richard Wenk. Do you know anything about this Richard Wenk guy?
I know he directed The Equalizer.
Oh, okay.
Like a few years ago with what is that guy's name? He's a very famous actor. I believe he's won an Academy Award.
Is that Equalizer?
Yeah, he wrote The Equalizer. Denzel Washington, yes. A very famous person whose name I shouldn't forget. But yeah, he wrote the Equalizer series.
That's right. I know you're talking about.
He also wrote Kraven the Hunter, which came out this past summer.
Holy shit, this guy did that Kraven movie?
Yes.
Okay, he wrote that movie, but he didn't.
He wrote it. No, he didn't direct it. He wrote it. Yeah, he writes a lot of movies now.
Yeah. Because he co-wrote this movie and he directed it.
Yeah. So, right.
Yeah, very interesting.
Yeah, this guy's
going from Vamp to Kraven the Hunter.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. His filmography is kind of odd because he worked up until till he made this movie, and then he didn't make another movie until 1994.
Yeah.
Then he just made a few movies after that until like the 2011s. So like in the last 15 years, he started writing movies again.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much he did that Dracula Bites the Big Apple, which was kind of like the inspiration for Vamp in a way. We'll talk about that pretty soon. Yeah. And then he did Annie. But yeah, he only did like about 2 stuff in the 80s. So he's mostly like a 2000 style director. But actually, for directing wise, I thought he did pretty good in this film. Like I said, I really appreciated the lighting. You know what I mean? Obviously, that lighting was very influenced by Italian horror films. And don't tell me it wasn't, because it definitely
you're right. You're right. I agree that it was.
I thought he did a dark gothic strip club, a rundown New York strip club. I thought he did that pretty well.
Yeah.
I like the goth guys with what's his name? Cloud. Wait, what's his name? No, White. Oh God, I just forgot his name.
Hmm.
Um,
I mean, I couldn't even
Snow.
remember Denzel Washington's name.
Snow.
So, yeah. Right.
All right. Our boy Snow and everything.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought, I thought like a lot of the camera angles were pretty good in this film, I would say. So I appreciated it. But let's see what's going on. So basically, Richard Wenk had written a short film called Dracula Bites the Big Apple, which we just talked about, which impressed Donald Butchers. All right. Hope I said that name right. Everybody, if you're all joining us for the first time in video, I usually fuck up the names, but they're mostly like Italian names.
Yeah.
So they decided to develop a film together. This became, you like this one, It Came All Night.
Ooh.
I mean,
like a porn film.
You got to add those sexual titles in there, brother. That's how you bring the 18 to 34 males.
Exactly. You got to add those sexual innuendos.
All right. So this was supposed to be a spoof off the thrill is the style of Airplane. Kind of like that style film.
Okay. So like a spoof of horror movies.
Yeah, kind of. So basically, however, they could not sell that. So instead, they wrote a vampire film with Richard set up for New World Pictures, and that's what this one came out of.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So a couple things. So the producer Donald, he said that they wrote the role of Vic for Jerry Lewis.
Weird.
All right. And our boy Jerry Lewis, pretty famous actor at the time. All right.
Yeah, I just can't imagine him in that role, and as you know, obviously the producers couldn't either, so we didn't get that.
Yes. Yeah. So they're like, I don't know if we can do him right now in this film. You know what I mean? Maybe we'll pay for him later.
Right.
So, but apparently Jerry Lewis wanted to be in the film. All right. But the sales department was not enthused about his casting. So supposedly that's like the rumor. So the filmmakers decided to cast a name actor in the parts of the vampire, went after Grace Jones.
Mm-hmm.
Who she's been in Conan the Destroyer and View to Kill.
Yeah, so she was because I mostly know her from those specific things, but I think before this she was mostly known as a like a singer.
Yeah, like a singer, yeah. And apparently she was also dating at this time Dolph Lundgren, He-Man himself, brother.
Weird. Yeah, it's amazing that the first movie you think of when you think of Dolph Lundgren is He-Man.
Bro, that is a great movie. We might do it on the show one time because it's in the 80s. It's not really a horror film, but boy, it is. It's fantastic.
Horrific though.
It was my childhood favorite movie.
There's a really good documentary about it if you haven't seen it.
I haven't seen the documentary
of this movie of that movie. That's fantastic.
I bet it's pretty nice.
All the mistakes they made.
So apparently, this is the rumor. You know, I mean, Donald said that Grace Jones accepted this role because for not the most money is because she owed some money to the IRS.
Yeah, that happens.
I was like, fuck, bro, don't we all?
Don't we all? Well, I don't anymore, but
I do. This fucking assholes. North Carolina fucking state. I still can't get used to that.
Like, how is it different than Texas?
Well, it's like Texas doesn't have like the you have to pay the state back money.
Oh, they don't have state tax?
No, they have state tax.
Oh, okay, yeah. Well,
I was like, what is this shit?
We gotta have roads and shit. We gotta have schools and roads. How are we gonna pay for all that constant road construction on Interstate 26 that's been going on for 25 years if we don't have state taxes?
Exactly. All right, we got to keep that thing rolling.
Right.
All right.
When it's got to be your money.
All right, so a couple other little things about it. Let me pull this up over here. So there's a couple little notes in here that I thought was pretty interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So Grace Jones, she doesn't speak any in this role
at all.
At all. So there's two different stories.
Okay.
So the first story is from Donald and all of them saying, yeah, we didn't really want her to speak because she sucked at acting.
Yes. If you've seen her in the other movies she's in, you will realize that.
Yeah, she's not like the best with speaking. But then according to Jones, she's like, it was
speaking.
Yeah. But according to Jones, it was her idea to be more of like the Nosferatu style vampire.
Sure.
You know what I mean? That just does movement and everything. Which, to be honest with you, I thought that was a little better. We don't need to hear this girl say anything. We already had her New York owner say everything anyway. So why?
Right. Exactly.
So, but that's a little, doing all that. So, like I said before, the chair that she was like dancing upon was molded after her boyfriend at the time, Dolph Lundgren. Just imagine getting that chair, Allison. Like, where's that thing at?
The Dolph Lundgren chair.
Yeah,
I bet
it's
in somebody's.
Chair
it's in somebody's collection. I'm
sure.
Bro,
tell me you would not. You fucking just destroy the bank account to get that thing, brother. You know
that would be cool. That would be cool to have.
What nerd is out there that's gonna have a Vamp Dolph Lundgren sex chair, brother? Okay.
That's amazing. Yeah, it's shaped like Dolph Lundgren.
To be honest with you, if I was rich and just had a bunch of money, like, what a talking piece.
Yeah.
They're like, what is that? Well, that's a mold of Dolph Lundgren.
Yeah, this chair is molded after
the girl from Vamp danced on.
Yeah, it's like when you sit in it, it's like sitting on Dolph Lundgren's lap.
Yeah, exactly. Who wouldn't want that?
Who wouldn't want that? Who wouldn't want that?
So this is kind of interesting. So the song Grace Jones dances to during her dance stripping stuff scene was sung by her. Like you said, she's a singer.
Yeah.
But it was never been commercially released, and it was not included on the movie soundtrack album titled Vamp.
Weird.
Okay. On the credits. So Jones released a heavily reworked version titled Seduction Surrender on her 1989 album Bulletproof Heart. So if you all want to hear a song that's close to this one, pull up the good old Spotify and iTunes, pull up Bulletproof Heart, brother. I'm going to get that right now. So because of the low budget, Grace Jones turned to her designer friends to loan her some costumes that she wore. Which I actually thought her outfits looked kind of cool in this one. Like, it's cool to be a little different from the rest of them because we're trying to make her like the main vampire girl. So I appreciated she didn't like just wear like normal stripper clothes.
So this was considered a low budget movie?
I guess.
I mean, according to this, the box office was like $5 million. Yeah. Which, I mean, for us, that's a high budget movie. I mean, most of our movies we do are like $300,000
last week. Of course, it's a high budget, brother.
Yeah, it's like $400. My movie costs $400. But I mean, like $5 million in the 80s. I mean, that's a decent. I would say that's a decent for New World. That's a decent budget. Yeah, I would say.
Well, but anyway, they couldn't. We had to spend all that money on the car scene where they all ran into each other. You know what I mean? And like, that lighting, brother, it is fucking expensive.
Well, Italian lighting is not cheap.
Okay. So I thought this was pretty interesting. And this does happen for movies every once in a while. So in the scene where Grace Jones bites Robert Kirshner's neck, Kirshner's the guy who played AJ, who was also in Friday the 13th Part 2 in the Retro Blood archives. Yep. He was the jock dude who got killed in the room and shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like, it was like heavily influenced. That movie was like gay and stuff. So very interesting. So, but he was here. Oh, and it's really interesting about that too is the Friday the 13th Part 2 was released a year before this movie. So he actually, after he did that movie, he did this one. So very interesting.
Yeah.
So when he was getting bitten down by the fake teeth, it actually went beyond the latex and actually got a little bit on his shoot neck.
So it actually the fake fangs actually bit into him.
Yes.
Is that what you're saying? Yeah.
Yes. Okay. That's a little story that happened here.
Happens sometimes.
Billy Drago, real name.
Yeah.
He's the guy who played Snow. Okay.
Right.
He actually has dark hair in Shoot Life, but he bleached his hair white, including his eyebrows, in order to portray the albino gang leader. I'm gonna start doing that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So
to betray my gimmick on this show, I'm just gonna go all full white.
You should go straight white. So Billy Drago is he's a pretty famous character actor, I guess you could say. I most know him from he was in The Untouchables.
Oh, okay, there you go.
And he played the villain in Pale Rider. You see him a lot though. But he has a really cool look to him. I almost didn't recognize him in this with his white hair though.
Yeah. It's a cool name. So Katrina was obviously the vampire name of Grace Jones.
Mm-hmm.
Her makeup was inspired by Pris from Blade Runner.
Okay, I wouldn't have thought of that, but yeah, I can see that now.
Yeah, I haven't seen Blade Runner in a while. You know what I mean?
Oh, you should watch it again. It's a great movie.
Yeah, 1982 original Blade Runner.
Yeah, there's like 57 different versions of it, but yeah, it's good.
Yes. So So the filming began on January 28th, 1986. Apparently, the day of the Space Shuttle Challenger disaster.
Oh wow.
So we have a space shuttle disaster when this movie is began filming, and when it gets released, we have a heavy metal concert in Dallas. So very busy.
So yeah, I remember that. I remember the Challenger shuttle. I remember watching that on television.
Yeah,
not to bring everybody down, but yeah.
So let's see. So we have what's fun? What's the fun stuff over here? So I like this one.
Mm-hmm.
Tina Turner was considered for the role of Katrina. Supposedly,
that would have been way better.
You think so?
Yes.
Our girl Tina Turner.
She would have been way. I mean, she would have been older, I guess, maybe than Grace Jones, but that would have been way better. I mean, she was in that Mad Max movie, and she was fantastic. She would have been good.
True. But how we would have got the long, what's his name, Dolph's chair? How would have got that?
No, we would have had to have molded after whoever Tina Turner was dating at the time, I guess.
Oh God, I don't even know who she's dating. You're gonna let me. I might have to look that up.
I didn't do. I don't know. I didn't do. I didn't do research on that.
Just imagine with some sort of like short dude or something.
Yeah, I didn't know we were going to be doing talking about man molded chairs, so I didn't do any research on it. Sorry.
Bro, that's like one of the coolest parts of the film.
Well, that's true. It is pretty interesting.
What a collector's item. So the film was originally banned in Canada.
Why?
Providence. Because, brother, too much sex vampires on here. Okay.
Oh, okay, whatever.
However, the New World, they appealed this, and the film was passed with a restricted classification uncut. Okay. So they got it passed at least. So I think one of the most interesting parts about this film was it actually was influenced on a pretty well-known vampire film in the 90s, which was Robert Rodriguez's From Dusk Till Dawn.
Yeah, I was going to ask about that because this seems like, or From Dusk Till Dawn seems like it was heavily influenced by this movie.
Yeah.
You know, like the strip club vampire parts. Have you seen this movie? I assume From Dusk Till Dawn.
Yes.
That's good.
I actually saw it when I was like a kid and stuff back in the day. Yeah, like I like my dad was watching. I like snuck in. And I always remember that film being pretty crazy because, you know, it's like very serious and dark at the beginning. And then they just randomly go to like a strip club full of vampires and stuff.
Yeah.
Very crazy.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's the first time I ever saw Salma Hayek in anything.
Yeah.
And I was blown away.
Yeah. Pretty crazy. So basically, like, you know, they took, you know, some elements from that, from this film and kind of like, you know, put it up there. It's very, very similar, you know, where, you know, except for like two frat guys going to a strip club, we have two of these degenerate guys who kidnap somebody going to a vampire style strip club, and they basically, you know, get attacked very similarly. But you know, obviously the Robert Rodriguez one is a little bit more budget, you know, and obviously more serious, even though there was some comedic parts to it. So, but yeah, like I said, this movie, you know, made very close to $5 billion at the box office. You know, obviously it's been released on DVD in the US. I wouldn't say, like, I don't really hear too much about this one having like a big cult following or anything like that. But like for a comedy style movie, I actually thought it wasn't as bad as some of the other shit we've done back in the archives.
No, my problem is I just don't really like horror comedies.
Yeah.
Like I can't even think of one that I do like. I guess From Dusk Till Dawn is the closest to a horror comedy that I actually like. And it's really hard for me to really get into them. But this was pretty good, I guess. I mean, I didn't love this, but it was okay.
Yeah, brother. Well, let's break it all down.
Let's do it.
Because let's get into Vamp.
Vamp.
Did you ever have one of those nights? Hey, where are we going?
Doesn't matter. What counts is that you're my buddy.
My day didn't start off too well.
We be looking for ya.
Are we jumpy tonight?
And then it got worse.
We're here.
And then...
Gentlemen, I give you Katrina.
You're just what I'm looking for. Why'd you pick on us?
It was a mistake. It was a little error there, a little communication error. I'm sorry.
Uh-oh. Let's just get out of here.
This is not really happening.
Hello, baby.
God, you look awful. What happened to you?
I was nearly hung. I got into a fight with a psychotic albino. I hit a cockroach, my best friend disappeared, and then I'm nearly assassinated by a runaway elevator. Anyone can have an off night?
This is fantastic!
Vamp, a comedy with bite. And of course, Grace Jones.
All right. So we start off with some credits.
Mm-hmm.
We finally got back some credits. Finally got back some opening scenes
Yep.
compared to, Nail Gun, where we just get right into the action.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. No credit.
So-
We can't afford credits. We're just going
Yeah.
straight in.
Just go straight in, brother.
Mhm.
So we see this monks or something. Hooded figures.
Hooded figures, we'll say.
There you go. All right. Taking these poor innocent souls up to a church to get hanged. They're about to get hanged. The first lines we hear is, "Welcome to your worst nightmare.
Yes.
This is the ultimate pledge, the rope." And then the tape starts going out a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when we figured out this is all just a scheme. It's all fake.
All fake.
It's just a frat house and they're doing fratting stuff.
Yeah, because I guess you pretend to hang people to get them into a frat, I suppose.
Well, yeah, man. I mean, we've seen different frat stuff
And that's
in
true.
our journey through 1980s horror movies. You know what I mean?
That's true. We have.
We've seen different style of fratting and hazing and shit.
Yep. Yeah.
You know what I mean? I mean, that's like half the freaking teenager horror movies is, them going into haunted houses and getting hazed and shit, and then it all goes wrong.
Exactly. I guess
This
if you're
one-
into that shit, it's okay.
Yeah, this one is a little different.
Mhm.
Excuse me.
You all right?
Yeah. I got a little bit of frat in my.
I know. You got a bit of frat in your throat.
So this one's a little different because we meet our two main characters, AJ and Keith,
Yes.
and I guess their characters are they get themselves into situations and then they try to talk their way out of it by not paying or doing any dues. They just it seemed like in this one they wanted to join the fraternity, but they didn't want to just join as regular frats. They wanted to be owners of the fraternity as well too. That's what it seemed like. Because he's talking about well, you just bring anybody to your frat house and hang them and shit. Any bloke off the street. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And then he's saying we can help you run this frat house because we can bring in the entertainment. They could bring in booze. They could bring in the entertainment and tunes. All right. Just say anything will help. And of course, the anything was they need to find one stripper
Mm-hmm.
and then they're in. So everybody, 1986 must have been different than nowadays.
Mhm.
Because brother, if you want one stripper, you just go on just make a post about it. Some OnlyFans girls will show up quickly.
Oh yeah, I mean
They'd
it's
be in
easy
there.
now. Now,
Yeah.
now we have the internet. You can get a
Yeah.
stripper to your house.
Exactly.
I mean, she'll
But
probably
back-
rob you, but she'll come
Yeah, she come there.
Yeah.
But back in the 80s, bro, you had to physically go out to the strip club
and find one.
and find one.
Yeah.
All right. The good old days. All right. So AJ, like I said, was a guy who's in Freddy Part 2. and Keith, they're talking a little bit. And I like how AJ, the first one he calls is a girl named Sally. He's like, okay, well, what we need you to do is just dance. But how do you feel about doing it naked? And then she hangs up.
Yeah.
And then Keith is wondering why AJ is always saying we can do anything. Just say we can do one certain thing. So he wants to narrow it down. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So they got to figure this out. So now they go meet Duncan.
Yes.
He's our comic relief.
Yeah, he was played by Gade Watanabe, who
Yes.
I most know as Long Duck Dong from 16 Candles.
There you go, brother. What did you say?
He played Long
Duck
Duck Dong in a movie called 16 Candles.
Okay.
He's very funny.
I like
very funny in that.
Yes. So this was the movie right now. Once we get this guy coming in, what he did with all his stuff. This is actually reminding me of The Hangover. Okay.
A little, yes, yeah, I can see what you're saying now. Yeah.
I was like, okay, I see a little bit from Dust Till Dawn with the vampire strip club, but bro, I've seen a lot of Hangover shit right now.
Yeah.
Okay.
True.
So Duncan, he's like this guy in a pink shirt.
Yeah.
All right. He had a bunch of people at his house, I guess. They're all leaving, and he just wants somebody to hang out with him. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So AJ and Keith, they want a car. Okay. But they don't want to pay for the car. They want to just give Duncan a favor.
Yeah.
Okay. And the favor that Duncan wants is he wants to just hang out with them for a week.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, well, we don't have to be real friends. We could be fake friends. I'm just like, This guy doesn't seem too bad. Like, why is everybody don't want to hang out with the guy?
Yeah, I don't know.
All right.
I have no idea.
So then they all agree to that, I guess. And they start driving to New York City. Because this took place in New York. Yeah, it had to be with all the mob bosses and shit. Could have been Chicago, but
I actually don't know where this takes place.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I'm going to guess New York.
Okay.
So we meet. So now we see the crew driving, and they're singing that "Got a Bad Case of Loving You" song.
Mm-hmm.
Hot hit at the time.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And then Duncan, he's reading some of my favorite stripper establishments you can join in this film.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
That's fantastic.
We have Tallywhackers.
That's so good.
We have
club named Tallywhackers.
We have Blue Balls Arama. Blue Balls Arama. Okay. And then the one they pick out, after all those cool names, the one they pick out is the After Dark Club.
I mean, that sounds cooler than the other two, though.
It does.
Yeah,
I mean, I would go there because, it's a goth club.
Right.
But I don't know, man. Blue Balls Arama seems pretty good.
Blue Balls Arama.
Okay. At least they get straight to the point what you could be getting after you're done with the strip club.
They do. They tell you what you're actually going to get out of it. At least they're honest.
So they say like, oh, that looks like a fancy joint.
Sure.
All right. So then now they're driving through New York. Some guy tries to sell them socks.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. They're at this diner now.
Yeah.
Well, actually, no, the car like spins around. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And I couldn't tell if it spins around they're going into a different universe or they're just going to like the bad part of New York. I couldn't really tell. Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. I think they just ended up in the bad part of whatever city they're in. But yeah, it is kind of all of a sudden different and like a different universe, sort of. Yes.
So, and then the joke is they're not in Kansas anymore. Comedy, brother, comedy.
Yes. What a Wizard of Oz jokes. Yes.
Okay. So now they're all three of them, AJ, Keith, and Duncan. They're at the diner, right? And then AJ and Keith actually have a pretty interesting discussion, which I could see myself having with you. It was just like, so what does after dark mean? It's like, it's dark right now. Do we have to like wait till it's like more darker?
This was actually, I thought, the funniest part of the entire movie. Like where they're having this conversation about what after dark means.
Yes.
Like, do we wait 5 minutes and then it's after dark, or when is it? It's dark now?
So when is after dark there, Alison? Is it like after midnight?
No, I think that it's just after dark. So anytime that it's not daylight, it's after dark. I think they're overthinking this. But I also love when they're having this conversation, like the bartender's like putting on a cross, a giant wooden cross around his throat or his neck, and he's like trying to get the fuck out of there. He's like, "We're closed. You got to go."
Yeah, he's trying to close up because he knows the hoodlums are coming.
Yeah.
And Duncan, he's taking a shit in the bathroom.
Right.
Okay. So this is when we meet the goth crew.
Right.
Which their main leader is Snow.
Played by Billy Drago, as we mentioned before.
Yes. So the first they get in there, they order 6 cups of coffee. Sounds like a goth crew would do.
Yeah, I thought that was weird. But yeah, there were 6 cups of coffee.
Well, they're ready to go, brother.
They're ready to go.
All right. And we see that one of their goth chicks, his name is Maven.
Mm-hmm.
And she is teasing Keith by sucking on one of those licorices.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And like Keith, he's like, all right, well, shit. We're in this strange town. I'm ready to go.
Yeah.
Until she shows the teeth and he freaks out a little bit. All right. So then Snow is like, well, what's your problem? You got some problem with his teeth and everything? So Snow is basically saying like, why don't I cut off one of your balls right now?
Ooh, only one though.
Yes. Duncan comes out, makes a couple of jokes about him going back to the bathroom because he's a plumber.
Mm-hmm. Haha.
And then AJ's like, hey, tries to calm everybody down, saying, hey, man, you know, all this over some 3 teeth should be all good. And then Snow pours some drinks on AJ. And then AJ grabs his dick after pouring coffee on Maven.
Oof. Yeah.
That's the good old dick grab there, Alison.
Mm-hmm.
All right. It's the most sacred move in horror movies.
It is. It is.
You know what I mean?
The old dick grab.
So they eventually leave. Now we have Keith, AJ, and Duncan. They leave the bar, and they leave Duncan and they leave Snow. Sorry, and all of them laying after the dick grab. Okay, and they get out of there, and then they keep joking about why did they order 6 cups of coffee?
Yes.
Okay. So now, all right, they roll up on the strip club. Now they found the After Dark strip club.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And Duncan really wants to go in there, but they're like, first, the Keith and all of them don't want Duncan to come in there, which I have no idea why. Like, was he just like hurting their style or something? Maybe he's going to ruin it. I have no idea.
Yeah, I mean, Duncan seemed cool to me, but I think that for some reason they don't see him as frat boy material. They're just using him because he's a rich kid and he has an expensive car.
Yeah.
Okay.
And apparently he's a drug guy too, because I swear he said he's ready to roll tonight, which that means he's want to take some ecstasy.
Maybe, yeah.
But this is 1986, so I'm not exactly sure if roll means the same thing as it does now, but he looked like he was ready to go. And then he like says something about the 6 coffees, and then he just goes to the club anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so they go into the club, they give their IDs, which basically was like Visa and a money. The guy's like, oh, perfect. All right. They want to sit ringside. Okay. All right. And then we basically see one stripper right now, and she's doing her routine in a hard hat. Got to get that construction gimmick going on.
Yeah,
brother.
yeah, just like early 90s WWE.
Yeah.
Everybody had a job gimmick. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, exactly. Mm-hmm. And these strippers, they all had a job gimmick too.
They did. It's weird. But yeah, okay.
So basically it's surrounded by old creepy dudes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then we have one girl in green. She actually notices Keith.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And then she comes up to him and she's like, oh, do you remember me and stuff? All right. And we're going to find out this. Well, I'm just going to say her name now because we literally don't find out her name until the end of the review. And I'm not saying just blonde chick the whole time.
This thing takes an hour for this story to play out, for her to figure out who she is.
It actually takes pretty much the whole movie.
Pretty much the whole movie. And he never actually figures it out. He tells her, or she tells him. But anyway, continue.
So her name is Alison. Any relation?
No.
Are you sure?
I'm positive.
Sister? No. You know, relative, cousin? Maybe?
No relation. No relation.
No? Okay.
Mm-mm.
Wow. Could have fooled me. Okay. But she's basically saying like, hey, you remember me and stuff. He's not remembering her, and her strap keeps coming down her shirt. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So I do like the owner. The owner guy was actually one of my favorite parts of this film. The strip club owner, New York boss guy.
Yeah.
Okay. And I like it where I like his introductions of women. And like when the girl with the hard hat was going off stage, she's like, give it a round of applause for the builder of major erections.
Oh, haha. Very
I
funny.
actually thought that one was pretty funny.
Horror comedy. So good.
So now he says, now we have one of the main events. Katrina is up next. And of course, Katrina is the red hair vamp. All right.
Played by
She's
Richard.
dancing
Mhm.
on Dolph Lundgren's molded massive man body. All right. AJ, he's impressed. He was like, oh, yes, I got the one I want for my frat house now.
Yes, I'm ready. This
Okay.
is one we got to have this one.
So, you know, I did appreciate the Katrina dance. I thought it was very gothic and really cool and stuff. I thought it was I thought it was a pretty good, you know, style dance for the film and everything. I thought it was good.
Yeah, I thought it looked good.
They all clap. They all throw some money. AJ now wants to go talk to her. So he talks to like this other stripper. Okay. We didn't get her name, but she was the Asian stripper.
Yeah.
And she's going to go talk to him, and she's bringing him to the back room now. Okay. So AJ's down. He goes down the stripper hallway, which, listen, break some kayfabe over here, brother. You know, I've been to a strip club a time or two.
No way.
And every time I got sent to the back with a stripper, there wasn't like a pile of them just staring at me and smiling. It's usually just one little lonely room. They dance on you, then they ask for like $60, and then they just leave. Okay.
Yeah.
But you know, this is after dark, so it's a little different.
It's a little different. Maybe it's a little bit better of a strip club than the ones you go to.
So yes. So now he's going down the hallway. He sees many girls. He's like, oh, I love the shows you're all doing. So now we have our next stripper up on stage there, Alison. She not only melts in your mouth, but she melts in your hand. We have Candy. It's on the stage.
Ooh, melts in your mouth and in your hands.
Yes. Now Keith is looking at Alison, and she like notices him, and she spins the bottle.
Yeah, which will pay off a little bit later. It's a clue to the story.
A little clue there, brother. So now AJ is in this closet room. Italian colors everywhere. We have the color panel is green and pink throughout this whole movie, which I appreciated. He's all looking around. Katrina appears. All right. He tells her really quick, nice hair.
Yep.
He's like, hey, I liked your act. It's very new and now.
Yeah. Very new and now, as in 1986.
Yeah, very new and now, brother. He's like, I wanted an encore. I want an encore with an audience that will pay top dollar for you. Okay. And then she gets him in a room and starts touching him. He's like, oh yeah, he starts liking it. And she's like rubbing her hands all over his 1986 shirt. And he takes the hands off. He's like, don't worry about it, girl. I got it. Playboy over here. Then she starts licking him. And I was like, no wonder this is banned in Canada.
Yeah.
All right, let's do it. He's trying to go for the tits, gets denied. And then she starts licking him and stuff. And then eventually her vampire teeth come out. But it wasn't like the traditional style vampire teeth, you know, but they just had the two.
Yeah, it was like the Nosferatu teeth.
Yeah, she transforms into like a whole like vampire demon where her nails just get a lot bigger and all the teeth get like very stacked up.
Yeah,
and
I was thinking.
Go ahead.
I was thinking they kind of look like the demons and demons a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, very similar style, I would say, to some of the on here. But yeah, then she starts biting the fuck out of his neck, and there he goes. So now Katrina starts laughing too after she bites him. That's like her only like voice we hear. It's like her laughing and screeching.
Yeah, it's the only sound she makes in the entire movie.
That's the only thing she was built for. Okay. So now Candy, she's done. She's done melting in people's mouths. Keith now goes to the restroom. He sees like this old bouncer guy with a weird back. Okay, saying there's some weird shit going on over here at the club. Now the bouncer guy now takes a drunk dude out of the club. Now we get him introduced. The owner introduces another stripper.
Yeah,
where he's like, all right, up next, she's not much upstairs, but she's stacking.
Ooh.
Meet the famous Tomato.
Tomato. There's nothing sexier than a stripper named Tomato.
Now, it was kind of hard to hear what he was saying during the speech, but I swear to God, he said, up next is the famous Tomato.
It does sound like he's saying
So,
tomato,
that
but
was like a
surely
New
that's
York.
not what he's
Isn't that
saying.
like a New York thing? Ah, she's a tomato.
I don't
You know what I
think
mean?
so. I don't think so.
And he's eating bugs while doing this.
Right.
And he stops the girl and he wants to put like umbrellas in the drinks to make them classy. All right.
Yeah. Nothing
So
classier than umbrellas in your drink.
Yeah, man.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And then Keith comes up, eats a bug, and thinks it's nasty. Comedy, brother. Stop
Funny.
laughing.
So funny. Start laughing.
So now he wants to leave because he can't stand his place. Keith asked that stripper Asian girl that brought AJ back. He's like, "Hey, where's my friend? You brought him back there." She's like, "Oh," she's like saying like, "Oh, what the fuck? Oh, okay. I don't know about anything about her friend." And this is when Alison comes up and interrupts.
Mm-hmm.
Now we had the stripper girl telling Katrina and the bouncer saying like, "Oh, like I didn't realize that AJ guy was like I thought he was alone. Like I didn't realize he was with anybody because." The way they get a lot of their victims is they find the one lonely guy, like the one guy that nobody's gonna be looking for, to don't get any kind of attention to them at all.
Right.
So when they find somebody who's actually has a friend out there, they got to figure out what to do because it doesn't happen a whole lot. So now she's saying like, well, who's the friend? It's like, oh, the friend is talking with the new girl, which means Alison.
Right.
So now we have Alison now brings Keith back to the backstage because Keith's trying to look for his friend. The Asian girl like says like, oh, like he met with Katrina because he wanted Katrina to dance for his show. But I saw him leave with candy. He left with the candy. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And then of course Keith's like, why would he just leave us like that? And then eventually Alison's like, well, let's go look for him outside. I'm about to take my break anyway, so let's go back to my place so we can go look for him.
Yeah.
I was like, okay. That's the whole deal. So he agreed. Because, like the whole thing with the Alison character, she's like heavily flirting with Keith. Mm-hmm. And we kind of figure out why, but we get hints right now, but we figured out why at the end of the film, which was kind of a weird payoff, I guess.
That is weird.
So now we get Alison's favorite stripper of the night, whipped. She's on there, brother. She's gonna whip you into shape.
I guess so.
All right, because she's all in leather and stuff. Okay, gotcha. Mm-hmm. So Keith, he waits outside now. The bouncer gives money to this truck driver, and he looks at Keith all weird. Alison comes up, scares him a little bit, says, "Why are you on edge?" And then now they start walking over. And now Alison's like, okay, just ask me the question. And he's like, what are you talking about? I was like, you can ask me why I became a stripper. Okay. And the reason was, she said like the acting didn't work out. Right. And this is the only job she could find that she can express herself, even though we did not see her strip once at all.
No, I thought she was a waitress until she
Me
said
too. This. But she said, apparently she was a stripper. I guess she was just waiting that night.
Yeah, maybe.
So now we have the owner. Okay. He's like, going over of what to do to get this Keith guy. Yeah. Okay. And he's like, I thought they were alone and stuff. I thought like this AJ guy was alone and everything. And he's asking Katrina if he can get some more powers. Okay.
Okay.
And the owner's big thing is like, why can't we move our operation to Vegas? In Vegas, you get fresh blood, you get fresh everything in there. Why can't we do that? But we never get a straight answer of why Katrina does not want to move the operation to Vegas. Mm-hmm. Maybe she just likes it in this little corner. Okay. Yeah. So we do see the little Vamp girl who comes up like a little bit later. Yeah, that's where Keith and Alison run into. Mm-hmm. And then we eventually get we get back to their hotel. Okay. And she checked in. Apparently you can check into this hotel that they stayed at, Alison, for $20 for 30 minutes.
Wow.
The deal, brother.
What a deal.
That's almost as a deal as that strip club the hotel in Maniac. Remember that one?
Yeah.
It was like $30 or whatever, and you get like you could get like in there for like a day or two or something. I was like, damn.
Yeah.
It's a better deal. Back in the 80s, brother. Easy to find these strip clubs.
You could just get a $30 or a 30-minute room. What if you're not done in 30 minutes?
Well, I got to pay for extra, man. Pony it up.
I guess so. Okay. You got to pay another $30.
Yeah. So now now Alice is telling the the booker, I guess, the hotel manager checking guy. I stayed here before. Now the guy's all smitten with her, and they're basically going up to the 13th floor. Okay.
Yeah.
So they're going up to the 13th floor. They start laughing at this old guy for some reason. Maybe he farted or something. I have no idea.
Who knows?
Okay. So eventually they get off, but then I guess Keith got off on the wrong floor. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And then the elevator goes up, and now Keith is looking around, the hallway, maybe trying to find the stairs.
Yeah.
Here's a couple fighting in one of the rooms, and then the elevator opens. There's nobody inside. But you know what happens?
Harry, what? Tell us.
You know what happens there, Allison?
Tell them. Tell the people.
We have the return of the micro proteins, brother, because this lift over here starts attacking Keith.
Return of the Evil Lift.
It's the same universe.
It is the same universe.
The
as
lift and Vamp are in the same universe.
Yeah.
The Lift, everybody, if you're all joining us for the first time,
mm-hmm.
we did this movie called The Lift last month on our
Fantastic
Killer Objects Month. Really great movie. Check it out in the archives. Really great movie. But they had protein, they had microchip proteins in there, brother.
Yeah.
Okay, that controlled the evil elevator and has made a return to Vamp.
And that's obviously what's happening here. The proteins are building into the
so maybe that's
elevator.
Yeah. Well, maybe the vampire
proteins.
Maybe that's how vampires are actually born. Micro protein chips now.
Wow. Your mind just never turns off, does it?
It
constantly creating plots. I love this.
Constantly, brother.
Yeah.
Vamp 2, the return of protein microchip. We just mixed both of them together, brother.
Yeah, in an elevator. Yeah, in a lift.
So eventually he gets out of there by using a fire extinguisher.
Yeah.
Yes. And then he goes down the stairs. He gets on out of there, and then the guy looks at him out. The hotel clerk looks at him all weird.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, "Bro, you finished already?" But damn, didn't even need the whole 30 minutes. So now the owner is talking,
mm-hmm.
and the owner says, like, should have heard something. If something goes out on, it's basically saying to the bouncer guy, it's like, we got to hear something. I got to hear where this Keith guy is going to go out. If not, that queen bitch is going to get me. All right?
Yep.
Got to get him. So, and then, of course, the bouncer's looking all weird. He's like, well, listen, guy, just because you and her had a fling doesn't mean she's into you anymore. So he's saying that the bouncer
mm-hmm.
and Katrina had a little thing back in the day.
Right.
All right. So now Keith is telling Alison, because they're leaving. He finally runs into Alison after running out of the apartment stuff. Is saying he's having a bad day. She's like, "Oh, well, what's going on? What's so bad about this day?" All right. He's like, "Don't worry about it. AJ will show up."
Mm-hmm.
And of course, Keith's like saying, "Well, I saw, he's basically saying like he got, punked out by like this snow goth crew. Right. He saw a weird bouncer, and he almost got attacked by an evil microchip protein elevator. So he's having a bad day.
It's been a weird night for him.
Yeah, weird night. But then, of course, Alison's like, everything's all good. Okay. And then Keith asks, where would a girl like Candy bring AJ? And then this sets off Alison.
Oh, yeah.
She's like, what is that supposed to mean? You talk about a stripper? Where would a stripper bring your friend? I don't know. Fucking dick. And then she's getting on to him. He's like, I was like, I didn't mean that. I just want to know where my friend is. She's like, what do you think we all are and stuff? You know what I mean? And then she's like, you can't even remember me. He's like, I can't remember you because you're not telling me. And she's all like, screw you. And she leaves. So we have a little fight. Okay, between them.
It's just so weird that she goes this long without telling him. But anyway.
Well, it's a very...
She wants him to remember, I guess.
Yeah, something for her childhood was very special.
Yes.
So now Duncan wants to watch... he talks to this girl. He asks the stripper, like, hey, what time do you get off? Mm-hmm. She's like 2:30. He's like, can I watch? Bold, brother. You know what I mean?
Very.
Can I watch? Can I watch you leave and pack
up
like a creep?
Yes.
All right. Now Keith is outside and he runs into snow. By the way, every time they bring up snow, I forgot they say Snowflake
Funny.
is one of them, which I thought was
Uh-huh.
funny. And now he's come up, and then Snow pops up, and he's all like, "Hey, we've been looking for you." He's like, "Hey, Snowball, what's going on?" So they keep calling him, Snowflake and Snowball. And then Keith runs. We have all outside, all this part of New York only has green and purple lighting.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
Wonder if that bill's expensive, I guess.
Probably. That's where all that money went. So why they couldn't afford costumes for Grace Jones.
So they look for Keith outside. He hides. He sees like this. He basically is just hiding his stuff in the sewer. So he goes into the sewer, starts hiding. One of the goth guys finds him, takes away the ladder. So he's walking all the way down there. Keith basically he's like walking through there. He's like, all this shit for a fucking fraternity. Okay. And he's looking outside. Yeah. He sees that little girl from earlier, but then he finds out that little girl is a vampire. So she starts biting one of those goth guys' arms off and kills him. So now we have Keith. He's running into some old dude saying that this guy found his friend and starts eating a rat.
Yep.
All right. And then eventually Keith leaves the sewer. Snow's goth crew finds him, runs at him again. And then Keith hides in the trash bin. And this is when he sees his dead friend AJ in the trash. And he freaks out.
Yeah. We finally find AJ. What happened to him?
Yes. So he's been put in the trash, brother.
Exactly.
So now the trash truck is coming at him, but he's not listening. The trash truck just wants to take away, the trash. And we find out that the user of the trash truck was the bouncer guy. So but Keith gets away. All right. So now he's trying to find the phones, and most of the phones are not working.
Right.
So he gets a hold of one phone doesn't work, but he finally gets a hold of them and calls the operator. And then the owner is saying like, "Hey, these cops are going to come in here, and the cops usually don't care what happens over here." Okay. Right. But this is when he's starting to do his spiel to Katrina, saying like, "Hey, you know what I mean? Like this is like why can't we just move our shit to Vegas?"
Exactly. This guy's never stops about Vegas.
We got new blood out there, and I heard the clubs are hot in Vegas.
He's not wrong. And
then Katrina cuts her arm, and he drinks her blood, and he's saying, "This is a nasty habit."
Okay. More humor.
So I couldn't tell if the owner was like a demon. I couldn't tell what he was at all.
Yeah, I'm not really sure the details behind that. I thought that he was just like I don't know, like someone who worked for the vampire crew, but I'm not really
but
sure.
he's obviously eating bugs and drinking blood. So
yeah, I thought he was like what, like not a vampire, but like whatever Renfield is in Dracula, because you know how like
like
he's
familiar.
Not kind of like he's not really a vampire, but he's eating bugs and drinking blood and shit. Yeah,
it's kind of like their serpent in a way.
Yes, exactly.
So Keith now meets Duncan and says AJ's dead. All right, Duncan doesn't know what the hell's going on. Keith is now washing up. He sits on a toilet, and somebody comes into the room, and the door breaks open, and it's AJ alive. He says, "Relax, dude. It was all just a joke. It's all just a joke."
Right.
All right. AJ says, it's all just a joke. Keith's all pissed at him and stuff, saying the joke wasn't funny. All right. And then now the owner comes in saying, "Hey, there's some uniforms out there that want to talk to you," because, Keith called the police.
Right.
So now we have Keith talking to the police in like the stripper room or something, while AJ is getting his finger licked by Whipped. Say that 10 times fast.
That's hard to say. Finger licked by Whipped. Yeah, that.
All right.
No.
So he's doing that, and they're going over like, obviously AJ wasn't dead,
right? And
the cops like, I don't want to deal with you all again. If I had to see you all here again, I'm gonna, arrest you for wasting my time and stuff.
Yes.
All right. And I was like, "Hey, I know you like to see the final act, so why don't you just watch the final act and you can
just hang out with us."
So then AJ is explaining a little bit, like he doesn't want to leave right now. AJ doesn't want to leave right now. And Keith's like, "We got to get out of here."
Yes.
And then Whipped turns into her vampire self, starts attacking Keith, almost kills him until AJ kills her with the shoe.
A shoe. You don't see
Yes,
that
the
often in
deadly-
vampire movies.
Yeah. It's a good one, right in the heart, brother.
Exactly.
Right in the heart. So now we're going on saying, now we have this long spiel between AJ and Keith. AJ saying like, I'm turning into a vampire now, and all I can see out of you is not my friend right now. It's my next meal because I'm hungry right now because I'm a vampire. He's like, look at me. I might look like a zombie now. I can't have my normal life anymore.
But I'm a vampire.
Yeah, well, yes,
Kind of.
he's a vampire, but he also calls himself a zombie because he looks like a zombie. He's a zombie vampire. There you go.
Of course.
So now he's about to eat Keith. All right. But then Keith's like, he says like, he just wants one favor from him.
Mm-hmm.
The one favor is if you do kill me, don't turn me to what you are. And AJ just kind of pisses off AJ. He's like, you think I want to be like this? And then AJ's basically telling him like, hey, kill me right now. Take this pipe that I got from Crockett from the Great American Bash Tour and use it on me, brother. Okay.
From the pole match.
Yeah. Okay. And use it on me. And AJ can do it. So eventually, Keith can't do it. So AJ eventually tricks him and stabs him himself. And AJ does say that, hey, all the stuff that you heard about vampires are true.
Mm-hmm.
Fire, sunlight, and confidence, all true. I have a list in my pocket.
I think this is weird too that he has a list, and then he says, "But he's like, I've got a list, but I forgot it," or something like that. Like,
it's in his pocket, brother.
Yeah.
So then he eventually, I guess passes out and dies or something, supposedly. And then he gives them the keys to the car, so they get out of there. Okay. And then he says something about. He also says something too, like if you do fire or something by sunrise, you can get them all gone or something. So now they're trying now, and then right when this happens, Alison shows up too, and she freaks out. But then Keith takes her away. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And so now they're trying to leave Keith, Duncan, and Alison out of this vampire club. But then the owner stops them.
Right.
It's like, I think we have a trouble with your tab. I'm going to have to see you outside.
Oh,
all right.
Yeah.
And then everybody's like, no, we're going to leave. But then all strippers turn into vampires right now, kind of corner them. And this is when the owner goes on saying like, listen, like, this is the place where all the degenerates come, all the scum of life.
Right.
You know what I mean? That's why we're able to kill all these people. You know how many people go missing a year?
A lot.
Hundreds of thousands, bro.
Yes.
They all go missing.
Yeah, a lot of them get stuck in elevators in Amsterdam, apparently.
Yes, a lot of them do. Check that out. That's on the Lift episode. All right. So he was just saying that what happened with your friend AJ was an error. It was a mistake. We usually just take people that are alone and scumbags. We don't really take like people who like people go looking for. Okay.
Right.
And then he's all like, you ever been to Vegas? How is Vegas?
God, this guy is fucking Vegas.
He loved Vegas, brother.
Man,
That's
Vegas
all
is
he cared
great.
about.
Yeah.
And then he's like, well, in Vegas, they let us have one last drink.
Yes.
Whatever we want. He's like, oh yeah, we did that in Vegas. All right. Hey, bartender, whatever he wants, get him. So Keith orders like 6. Everybody loves 6 in here. He got like 6 cups of brandy. All right, even the whole bottle. Start drinking a little bit of it, gives them to Alison, says, hey, pour this on the floor. So they start pouring all on the floor and everything. And then when he does that, then he starts lighting a drink up, like a cocktail drink, and then he throws it on there.
Yep.
And the place starts lighting up. So he starts using fire. And of course, remember, our boy, when his list, AJ said fire can hurt vampires. Remember that?
Yeah.
Okay. So the place is all lighting up. Okay. Allison is taking money from the drawer. Okay.
Yeah, because
like,
that bitch owes her money.
That bitch owes. So they go out to the trap. They go out the trap door, right, and get out of there. Okay. So the club is now burning down. The owner sits down and he says, like, you know what? I would love to see Vegas.
Yeah. Well, Vegas is great. I mean, I love it.
Well, maybe we should take this owner guy. He needs
To
to
the
see
Vegas.
it,
Yeah, apparently.
All right. So now he's going to he's pouring. He's pouring his fellows a drink, and he says, this is the first drink I've had in 75 years. Because remember, he's been drinking blood the whole time.
Right.
So now we have the crew. Okay.
Mhm.
With Keith, Allison, and Duncan. They go into this red car. Okay. And then when they're in that car, this tow car starts facing them,
Mhm.
like chasing them down. And now we have another, we have the garage truck and the tow truck chasing them. Okay.
Right.
And they trapped him in like the sidewalk. They're about to like crash him. But then
Mhm.
this truck takes forever to get out of this parallel parking while bumping into everybody's cars.
I
And
saw
they eventually turn and then the other cars crash. And
Yeah.
that's probably like half the budget this part was.
of all those crash cars. Yeah, that car scene was expensive.
Yes. Then they're in the car and Duncan says, "Oh, I'm hungry."
Mhm.
He's like, "Okay, well, wait till we get back. I'll get you a pizza." He's like, "No, I'm hungry now." And Duncan has now turned into a vampire.
No. Yeah.
And he starts freaking out. They crash the car. They get
Mhm.
out of there and the car blows up. So we have another part of the budget.
Yep.
All right. So now Keith, all right.
Mhm.
He's I guess Keith is trying to get some guns now.
Right.
Because another thing is that the owner said, which I didn't mention, was the vampires are not only in this club. There's all types of vampires out there, more than you think.
More than you think.
So
Different
they
kind-
have a whole section of New York dedicated to vampires only.
apparently.
That's where they're in. What part do you think that is?
Maybe.
idea.
Brooklyn of the 80s, possibly, yes.
Yeah. So they break into this gun store, okay? And they have all this ammo there, but Keith only wants the bow and arrow.
Yeah, because he's good at it.
Yeah. He's
Yeah,
not good
he
at
is.
shooting guns, brother. He's only good at doing arrows.
Yeah. You
Even
get a
though
bunch
our
of practice.
homegirl had like a rocket launcher.
Which you can apparently buy in a pawn
Yes.
shop at this time.
So during this, he puts up the arrow to Allison saying, "Who are you? What's your real name?" And she's like, "Oh, I'll tell you in due time."
So, question:
Yes.
Why does he think she's a vampire?
Well, there is a obviously everybody else at the strip club is a vampire, and
Well, okay, that's a good point.
she did disappear on that elevator.
That's true. That's a good
You know what I
point.
mean?
Okay, I see what you're saying.
He's just making sure. You
Just
know what I
making
mean?
sure.
You know, that's the kind of a thing
But-
you would do when you meet a girl that you supposedly knows you. You put a bow and arrow up to her, ask her some questions.
I guess, but I mean, what was she going to say to convince him?
Well, she's still going to tell him here soon.
Okay.
Well, the thing is, like, he didn't. Okay, the only thing Keith didn't do, he didn't straight out ask her, "Hey, are you a vampire?" He didn't really like do that.
That's true. He said, "What's your
Yeah.
real name?" and that kind of thing. And
Yeah, what's your real name and
he's
who
like,
are
I've
you?
been
and
trying to
stuff.
get you to guess this for an hour.
Yeah, basically. Let's see. So now they leave, and I swear that when they left, we didn't see her reflection in the mirror.
Yeah.
Even though that turns out to be false at the end. So now they get surrounded. Now they go outside and they actually get surrounded by all the town's vampires. So they kind of get trapped a little bit without knowing it. So then Snow's group shows up and it gives them a little distraction to get on out of there. And then Snow's group looks around them and sees all these like vampires. Is like, what kind of gang is this? And then they all get attacked. So there goes Snow and his old gang. He's gone. So now Keith and Allison go into the sewer. Okay. And before they go into the sewer, that's when Allison says how they all met.
Yes.
They were playing a long time ago at, I guess, like some party.
Yeah.
Or some
they were playing spin the bottle.
Spin the bottle at some party. I think it was around Allison's house. It was about to land on this guy she didn't like, but then Keith moved the bottle to him. They kissed, and she's been in love with him ever since.
And he doesn't remember.
He doesn't remember. That's the payoff, brother.
Right. Ha ha.
And then they see a bunch of vampires. And Keith's like, "You got great timing." And then they go down the sewer. So they're going down into the sewer. They're hiding. They go into a room with dead bodies, coffins, and Egypt shit.
I saw that. It was cool. I
You
love
know what I mean?
shit. Yeah.
There you go. Fun stuff in there. They're like, "Oh, we should probably get out of here." But then all the vampires come in there. This is their sleeping chambers. I guess it's about to be light outside. Perfect timing. So they're about to leave, but the flashlight scares Allison. Okay. And all the vampires start waking up. Barrels of supposed oil were there for some reason. So Keith lights up the place, destroys those vampires. And then during this, he gets separated from Allison.
Yep.
And now Allison is trapped by Katrina. who I actually thought looked pretty cool in this scene. She was all like, she was very Nosferatu style vampire
Very much,
in this
yeah,
scene.
yeah, very
So,
Nosferatu.
So Keith holds up the bow and arrow to her.
Mm-hmm.
All right, and then Katrina's about to bite off Allison's neck. I guess that could be another reason why she wasn't a vampire, because why would a vampire bite another vampire?
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Doesn't do any good.
So she was about to do it, but then the blood from him holding back the bow and arrow too tight is running down her arm, or his arm, sorry. And she looks at it, she gets all excited, and then he bow and arrows her perfectly in the mouth.
Yeah, but it doesn't kill her.
Doesn't kill her. They even piped her in the stomach.
Yep.
All right. They're about to leave. She wakes up, being all crazy vampire-looking lady. But then he uses his bow and arrow to unleash sunlight on her.
Yeah, because I thought that was really weird because he only had one arrow.
Yeah.
Well, he had two.
He banged it up on the ceiling.
Right. He had two.
Yeah.
But he killed that one vampire behind Alison. Then he only had one arrow. So he doesn't shoot an arrow until he shoots Grace Jones in the mouth. Then he used the bow to bring the sunlight in.
So eventually the sunlight evaporates Katrina.
Sure.
And she does one final flick off in her skeleton form, and she's gone. They're about to leave. Alison sucks the blood from Keith's fingers. He's like, oh, that's a little weird. It's like, oh, we got to get you stitched up. You don't want to get infected. He's about to go up in the sunlight, and he's like, hey, Alison, let me show you something here. Shows her the sunlight. She doesn't melt, and he's like, oh, good. I can finally fuck this bitch.
Exactly. Because I thought, like, I mean, I guess they were like trying to like imply that she might be a vampire, like when she was like sucking the blood off his finger or whatever. Then he tests her in the sunlight. Turns out she's not a vampire. So she's
not a vampire at all. So now, before they leave, the bouncer guy grabs Alison. He's like, you killed my Katrina. He's about to kill Alison. And then he gets stabbed by behind. AJ shows up. He's okay, saying this was a cheap pipe. I guess it was like a plastic pipe, not that real one that was used in the Great American Bash.
Exactly.
And then they start making jokes. Keith's like, I had a really bad day. I'm gonna go up there now. AJ, of course, can't come up there because he's a vampire.
Right.
He's like, well, I can still hang out. I could just do like night school or night classes and shit. And then we have Keith and Alison. They kiss. AJ keeps rambling off about a bunch of shit. And then we end the film.
Yep.
And that is it, everybody. That is Vamp. Here on part 2 of Retro Blood's 1980s Vampire Month. I actually thought this film was pretty fun.
It was okay. I mean, I don't know. I didn't love it. I wouldn't watch it again, but it wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
That's the best I can say about it, but it was okay.
I mean, I thought it had some very creative spots in there. I thought the actual like settings was really nice, like the aesthetics of the whole film.
Yeah, I thought it looked good. I mean, it just didn't have a lot of story, really.
Yeah, the story wasn't like super much there, but it's supposed to be like a comedy. I didn't really like laugh during this. There was a couple funny stuff during this, but like it was. I wouldn't say it's like a laughter type of film, but different styles of the 80s is a laughter style might be a little maybe past our head or something, but
maybe.
But I actually thought like it was actually looked pretty cool, and I liked a lot of like the actual like look of the film more than I actually like the plot line of it. I would say.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, but everybody, thanks for joining us here on the Retro Blood, talking all these vampire style movies for the month.
Yeah.
We definitely have a lot more to come. Because we actually have some pretty good bangers this coming time.
We do.
Let me get my list over here, what we got going on for this month. All right. So, Vampire 80s Month Part 2. We're going to be doing Dracula's Last Rites. All right. The Last Rites, brother.
Classic.
Then we have a anime.
Again.
We're going to be going back, because last year we did one of my favorite animes, Vampire Hunter D.
Yeah.
Check that one out in the archives. That's actually one of my favorite episodes we did because I love that anime so much.
So good.
But now we're going to be doing another one that looks pretty interesting, and it looks very similar on the animation style. We're doing Dracula, Sovereign of the Damned.
Yeah. Which is going to be interesting.
Yes. And we have this other one we're probably going to finish out the month with, which is actually I wouldn't really say it's a fan voted. It's actually my brother who requested us to do this film, I guess. Kind of a fan. Yeah, it's my brother. We're doing this one, and it's supposed to be a really good style vampire film. Like, he's praising it a lot, so I'm pretty excited about seeing it. It's going to be called Near Dark.
Yeah, it's a great film.
So, have you seen it before?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. I haven't seen it, so obviously it'll be pretty fun. So, but everybody, thanks for joining us. Thanks for joining us for our very first video. Hopefully over time we'll be doing more of these, and of course we'll, it's always the first one always has like the the rough and tough. But once we start doing it a bunch of times, we'll look good on here.
We'll see. We'll see.
Give us some feedback. Let us know how we did, everybody.
Yeah.
Like I said, check us out on the YouTube page. Check us out on Spotify.
Yep.
Apple Podcasts.
Yep.
Retroblood69.com.
Yep. If you have any requests, we'll do them, even if we hate them. Especially if we hate them, that's the best ones.
That's true. Can't get through it. So.
Yep.
But Alison, what tracks are we be playing getting on out of here?
Well, we might as well listen to some more Van Halen, right? Let's just play Dreams from Van
Dreams,
Halen,
brother.
5150.
Dreams from 5150. Listening all up on here because, boy, we definitely had some dreams. Our boy AJ was dreaming of joining that frat house. Our Keith was dreaming of just going along with AJ's ideas, but then he got the chick at the end that he didn't even know existed.
I guess
so he made his dreams come true.
It is really weird, right?
And Duncan actually got some friends, but then he died being a vampire. So.
Yeah, it is kind of odd that this entire movie took place because they were trying to pledge this fraternity.
Yeah.
And one thing led to another, and now they're all vampires.
That's what you do in the 80s, man. You know what I mean? You go into the fraternity, you get in trouble. That's just how it goes.
Sure.
So, but everybody, J.H. Alison, James Kline. See you here next week.
See you guys
on the Retro Blood.